Alright, so here's a video while sick. I just wanted to do a criticism sucks on this piss poor channel over here. Harsh critics. I love superhero media. I do. I love comic books. I love DC. I love Marvel. I believe in superheroes. I believe in Lex Luthor. I believe in Superman. I believe in the greats of comic book storytelling, conflict, superpowers versus man, man versus machine, everything you can list. I probably have read it to some portion, right? But one thing I don't like is grifters. One thing I don't like is rage bait trash. One thing I don't like is Zack Snyder extremists. Zack Snyder apologists that really cannot reel their head from their rectum. Look at this channel. Look at what it's all about. Alright, apparently Superman is already a disaster for James Gunn, and the movie is not even nowhere near out yet. We've seen this preemptive knee-jerking before with Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, where people just said the game is going to fail, and the game is not out yet to dictate if it's going to fail or not. Which is preemptive. It's knee-jerking, right? You wait for a product to come out, and then you see if the general audience and the hardcore gamers and if people will flock to it or not. That's the perfect example. It's a perfect example here. Superman 2025 is not out yet. It comes out July 11th, 2025. So this entire channel already is like a disastrous mess trying to get as much clicks as possible because he wants the Snyderverse restored. And we're going to listen to these lies said in his James Gunn Superman trailer sucks. So he already had to reiterate that like fucking four times already. It's like, look at this. God, man. We go from the poster to the teaser of a teaser, then the teaser, and then you say it 4 times enough and maybe someone will believe you. I don't know, but he talks about the Batman Part 2, and that's the interesting part because he believes that James Gunn delayed that movie. And we're going to get into the nuance and talks, and maybe another criticism sucks because I don't like what he said about Gambit either in the MCU. Let's get right into the first video here.
All right, so James Gunn has delayed the Batman. But before I start this video, I want to say, keep the movement growing. No Snyderverse, no money. Make your voices heard. July 11th. It's working. Yeah.
All right, so each time these Zack Snyder apologists, extremists, whatever you want to call them, each time they set up some boycott date, look, nobody cares, all right? Look, I know what you want is for WB to get Zack Snyder somehow in the chair. That's your goal, right? You make all these campaigns each time with these dates, proposals, etc. But each time they happen, nobody really cares but you. Like, all the casual people seeing these movies, I guarantee if Superman is like a success, they aren't gonna care or know what Snyderverse is. If anything, it's gonna be confusing if they go back and look and say, hey, there was another Superman movie beforehand, before this, in this other universe, and then it's like, oh, it's a reboot. They already rebooted everything by this point. All the Zack Snyder Justice League stuff is done in the water. He got to make the film that he wanted to make, which is commendable, but it's not going forward for the next 10 years because the next plan is the DCU by James Gunn. I would have, even if I was a hardcore Zack Snyder stan, the day I would have heard I would have had to wait 10 years for DC to have this like elaborate, elongated plan, I would have given up already. I'm like, I'm not waiting 10 years for shit like this. I would rather go back and enjoy BVS or Man of Steel or however I feel, but 10 years is a long time, and at that time a lot could change, and a lot is like, I don't give a shit at that point. So I don't know why you're fighting these pointless wars when Netflix and WB are not in any sort of deal, intermission, whatever, to get Zack back. And Zack himself has said, I don't really want to do any DC movies right now at this point in my career. Zack said, I want to focus on new cool, original IPs that I can make my own. We already see the evidence of this with Rebel Moon, which is like kind of knockoff Star Wars, where he wants to do his own thing. And if you were a true fan, you would respect his decision as opposed to trying to pigeonhole him back into DC, which is kind of fucked up if you ask me. If he doesn't want to do it and you're trying to pigeonhole him into doing something, then you're not allowing creative freedom. That's how I feel.
They're panicking. James Gunn is being caught in all his lies and manipulations. And this is just adds to the cake. The Batman is delayed to 2027. And I was the first critic to say this was just a cash grab movie and you're not getting a Batman. And this seems to be the case.
All right. I don't get how he says we're not getting this movie when it's been delayed to 2027. You are getting the movie. It's just going to take a long time to get there in the process. It's coming out in 2027. You're getting the film. If the film was canceled, then it would have no release year. You know what I mean? It would have no release date behind it of the sort. So that's the first thing we need to talk about. And then the second thing is, you say cash grab, right? As you're thinking to yourself, this is not the logical, organic route for the Batman to go into. The movie was highly praised. It was highly successful. We have a spinoff that was highly praised, highly successful. It's going to win a bunch of nominations and awards in TV shows, award shows, and Oscar shows, and whatever the fuck they host for the TV show awards. I forgot what they're called, really, but I know it's going to win a lot of fucking awards with the way it's being nominated. And for you to think that they don't logically progress forward in the timeline with sequels, spin-offs, etc. on a popular IP and franchise that has proven itself with the first entry, then you must be very delusional by putting all this labeling behind it.
This movie has almost took 7 years because it was actually delayed, I believe, 2 years because of COVID. It was supposed to come out in 2021 or 2020, but it didn't initially come out to 2022 because of COVID.
I believe it is two factors of this. I heard that the script for the Batman Part 1 took 3 years in the process on top of COVID. So it being delayed to this nature makes sense, and the Batman Part 2 being delayed to this nature makes sense. If it takes like Matt Reeves 3 years to make a meticulous script.
So just 6 months ago, James Gunn was saying how the Batman is ready to be filmed and they got the script and they're going to do Mr. Freeze, and now he's saying, oh, we're going to postpone it. They're never going to greenlight a Batman 2 because, as I've been telling you guys, the movie flopped. No.
What? What the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about, man? The movie flopped, okay, but the movie is essentially already greenlit. It's just going through some development hell. That's what you're not saying. Like, where did you get this idea that the Batman Part 1 flopped? Made almost $1 billion, heavily loved by critics, heavily loved by the users, got a spinoff that's getting a ton of TV awards as we speak. 100s, 10 out of 10s, like a high praise, a high word of mouth. I think there's going to be people that will be content to wait for Matt Reeves to finish his script because they have been, so far, that damn good. Alright? Heavily appreciated stuff. If this movie was not greenlit, it would have been canceled ages ago. Alright? We're talking about WB here, where it's like, they wouldn't have came out and said, hey, we gotta hit homers, we gotta make sure DC is like great, we gotta make sure Batman is at the forefront. They wouldn't have said any of this stuff if they didn't believe in Matt Reeves either. It doesn't make any sense. And he says, oh, well, James Gunn said like months and months ago that they had Mr. Freeze and that the movie was going really, really well. But here's the thing, all right? Now, I don't know if plans change, but James Gunn right here on Threads, and we're talking about that initial report of, oh, things are going well, and it is what it was. It was a report from a third party where this guy said it was reported a little while back that Matt Reeves has already finished the script for the Batman Part 2. Is this really true? And James Gunn replied, I think that report was well intended but mistaken. So anything before all of that is null and void, all right? And of course, we know people like to mistranslate people, take words that they really didn't mean, and put it into an article for clicks. This is something that happens a lot in video games, and I would assume it happens a lot with general journalism in general. And you're not really bringing that up or mentioning that. He said it was probably ill-intended. They probably wanted to put some excitement out there for the people, so he's not really shitting on them, but he is kind of shitting on them in a veiled way by saying they weren't correct. He says he's looking forward to the film. All right. That's not a report from 6 months ago being valid. I'm sure you know that, but I'm gonna let you continue onward. I got 2 tabs of you open. I think 1 is enough because I'm losing brain cells already, but let's continue.
No matter what the box office say, the movie flopped.
No matter what the box office says, a movie can make almost $1 billion. It flopped, okay? That's like... I don't know where to begin. That is brainless, head-ass worm logic. I don't know where to begin on that one. It's like, goodbye, sir. I will not even dignify that argument with a response.
Because we all know all theaters raised prices, what, $2 for that film only.
How do you know that? Like, what point is that? Fuck, I mean, I went to like Marvel movies that were more expensive than my fucking Batman ticket. I'll tell you that much. And Marvel was like legitimately, Disney was like legitimately buying out theaters to stop competition on certain days, bro. Like, what the fuck? What are we talking about here? Like, okay. And you do realize that we gotta look at how much they made the movie box office wise, and if the film is like more of a box office juggernaut with the way it received money back in the process. We got to see the budget for the movie and then the box office itself, because I'm sure it's going to be some varying numbers. So I'm going to look at the source. I'm going to look at the good old Wikipedia. Hold on. Let's see, what are the citation of these numbers? Okay, they made this movie for, apparently, they have sources too, so you can go and see them. They Box Office Mojo, and more of this. Okay, and Variety, I think. Okay, Variety, cool. Yes, Variety is a great source so far. So, the Batman Part 1 was a movie that was built from 185 to 200 million, and they made double that back. All right, so I don't know where you get the whole flop routine. Usually, if a movie flops, they don't make their budget back whatsoever, or that's like in the red line, right? And then there's movies that they don't even break even at all. This is well above their budget. All right. It's not $1 billion. Again, I hate this notion of people believing that $1 billion is needed for a movie to be successful if it was made at like 200 million. That's like really stupid logic. It would have to be like, all right, they made this movie at like 500 million, 600 million, something like Ant-Man, and it comes up to be a disappointing number, or close to that. Like even more money put into it, and they don't make that cash back due to disappointing returns. You know, the movie is disappointing, but it's not a super failure, a super flop if you don't make your budget back, which is what people don't really bring up in these arguments to begin with.
So for what, it was like 2 or 3 weeks they did that. So if the film only made 700 and something million, how much did that? What part of the premium was contributed to that?
What? I don't get this thing of where he's trying to talk about this premium $2 deal on a movie that made back like more than his budget, more than enough. All right, like 2x times his budget. Like people went out and saw this movie, and apparently to greenlight a sequel, you know, WB so money hungry on money, they thought that the expectations were fine. It was a success. They greenlit it. And you're trying to say that this does not exist, or this is not probable, or this cannot happen. Why is your logic diminished to this? I don't get it. I don't get it. If the movie was a flop, you know how WB is, man. They kill movies. They've killed movies before for tax write-offs. Do you fucking honestly believe that they would have done it for a Batman movie if they didn't believe in it? Or it didn't do them some numbers or get them some recognition for them to say, hey, we're okay with this plan of James Gunn keeping Matt Reeves and making this whole thing into an Elseworlds where we can do other Batman stories and we don't have to tie it to the new DC universe, right? You have some willingness, some know-how to think outside the box like this, but I don't think that you do. You're struggling with counting numbers on a $2 premium ticket, knowing that ain't got shit to do with anything, alright? Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Now we can arguably say maybe 100 million, just to be fair. And if that's the case, the Batman only did like 600 something million.
The movie made over the budget of the film it created, so it was a tolerable success to WB. How many times are you gonna home in this fucking stupid point?
The accounting could be more. Like I said, James Gunn and Zack, they have the real accounting numbers.
All right, this is slobbering drool. So let's get to the next point and wrap it the fuck up.
And Matt Reeves is doing. They're bread crumbling the audience. They're just giving you a
bread crumbling the audience. What the fuck? Hold on, let's listen to this point.
They're bread crumbling the audience. They're just giving you a little glimpse of hope for you to subscribe to their streaming service and for you to support Superman Legacy.
What the fuck kind of conspiracy theory is that? They want you to subscribe to their streaming services if there is the event that a movie does well, that people like it, it has positive recognition. It doesn't have anything to do with, you know, because the Batman and James Gunn's Superman are like dissimilar. They're not even in the same fucking universe. So that logic makes no sense. Like, now it's just an HBO Max cash grab because people like to stream good films if they believe in word of mouth. So when Batman hit like HBO Max before the whole DCU thing happened, what do you think happened there? Like, if people wanted to see a good movie and streaming and they didn't even know this whole universe thing was going down? Like, I don't know. Like, until later, conversations like sparked up about, oh, is the Batman, is that universe, is that going to be like an established Batman that goes to the DC universe, right? Because DC is not a stranger to multiverses and stuff like that, but they said else worlds. For now, they're not crossing the two. So what do you mean by this incentive to get people to sub to HBO Max? If people love something on Max, they're gonna sub by default. That's kind of how it works if they want to watch it again, assuming they don't want to get the movie on Blu-ray or some other shit like that, because You're not bringing up alternative means to alternative media for physical stuff. What about those people? You gonna make the same excuse? Oh, they just want to breadcrumb the audience into getting a fucking Blu-ray because the movie was great? What are you talking about, man? You're making pathetic, piss poor drivel for arguments.
July 11th. This is what this is. It's called bread crumbling. Just giving you a little hope so you can still support their HBO Max platform. Or
so we're gonna delay the Batman Part 2. Okay, we're gonna delay the Batman Part 2, and hopefully you go see Superman and sub to our HBO Max when not only is James Gunn debunking the report of previous mistaken mishaps with journalists, with them saying, oh, the movie is finished, it's done, what's going on there? No, it's not true. And then, because James Gunn is a big champion of Matt Reeves, so if he wasn't, this whole Elseworlds thing and Matt Reeves doing his own thing, that wouldn't even exist if James Gunn said no to him. So it's gracious that this is continuing in this direction for the fans. And he also said, like, there is no first draft of the script. It means that Matt Reeves and his buddy, I forget his name, Madison Toblin, he's off X. I can't find his account. He's off X. He's not there, but those two writers, the co-writer and the writer, have not finished a first draft. That means no script, no filming. No script, no filming. I'm going to keep saying it. You don't want to run into an issue that the MCU is running into with Blade, where they had like numerous first drafts or whatever. It didn't come into fruition. No script, no filming. I'm gonna use that logic against you. Like, no Snyderverse, no money, no script, no filming. It made sense to delay this movie because of that. They want to give Matt Reeves time. James Gunn wants to give him time. You know, delays are money. They have to put money into delaying these projects over and over again before they hit the ball running. That's going to definitely hurt in some way. And I don't see how what you're saying is even beneficial to James Gunn or Matt Reeves himself if they didn't do it in the first place. They didn't believe in this movie enough to say, hey, we want to take some steps back, really flesh out the script, really write it, you know, especially Matt Reeves and Toblin. They want to get it right. And the only way to do that is to delay the movie. I know it's unfortunate. This is the second delay. I don't know how I would feel about a third one, but yes, if the script is peak like the Batman Part 1 and Penguin, then I can wait however long you want. We're almost in 2025 anyway. It's like just 2 years away after that. And then if it's good, it's good. Right? It was worth the wait. If you sit in the theater and you have that opinion, like, damn, it took them a while to write this motherfucker, but goddamn, you know, I kind of like this movie just as much as the first one, if not more. That's what it's supposed to do. And sequels are supposed to move in a natural progression. The Batman Part 1, popular. It was inevitable for this movie to get greenlit into a sequel.
whatever's associated.
And I want to home in on this point as well. I didn't do that. James Gunn even said it. It was delayed because the script was not finished. That's all consistent. Matt Reeves is committed to making the best film he possibly can, and no one can accurately guess exactly how long a script will take to write, which is why some movies in the DC universe that they're making now, they got fast-tracked faster, like Clayface, because the script was basically in a finished state or it's good enough. As I jump around a little bit, you can see that time philosophies and when the Batman Part 1 was obviously a thing that happened before James Gunn got in, and DC was seeing how that movie was a success. I'm sure they were talking about sequels. I'm sure they highlighted and greenlit a sequel. James Gunn's green lighting effect is different. So he says the script has to be completed, ready, and then he will green light the movie. Under his philosophy, I don't think this would have been happening, and it also shows evidence that he didn't really green light the Batman Part 2. It's like I think that was all Warner who did that initially, and then he's like, let's just continue the Elseworlds storyline of people liking separate universes for the Batman. There is the Superman movie that's coming out with the Black Superman. That's going to be Elseworlds that we haven't really heard from yet. That movie was greenlit long before James Gunn came into the picture. Are you going to talk about the Black Superman movie? Um, by that dude's name, I forget his name. Coates, Tessie Coates, something like that. I don't know, but I know they're doing a Black Superman film that was greenlit forever ago. We don't know anything on the script, and are you going to say that's James Gunn's fault? Like, some of this is older management, as we talk about this as well, before Gunn even got involved into the picture in the first place. So yeah.
With WB Studios. So this is what it is, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Batman or a Batman appear in that Superman legacy film that's coming out, because that was rumors going around.
I mean, they already confirmed that Brave and the Bold is going to have their own DC Universe Batman. If he does show up, I wouldn't be surprised, because again, it doesn't say DC Universe at the end for nothing. You know, the U is there, universe. So if they show the DC Universe Batman and Superman as like a post credits or something, I wouldn't be shocked. That's what they're supposed to do. Like, in the post credits, why do you think that people wait around for the MCU to have like post credits? Because people want to see what's coming next. It's an interconnected universe. Now, I don't think that Matt Reeves' Batman is going to show up in the new Superman movie. I think that's absurd. I think they're going to keep that Elseworlds.
Because they know Superman legacy is going to flop at the box office. The writing is on the wall.
How do you know this? Do you have a time machine? Do you have precognition? Do you have a DeLorean? I want to know the facts of this. How do you specifically know Superman 2025 is going to flop? How? How? Do you know something that we don't? Tell us.
Zatloff took out, he cashed in his shares the same day the teaser to the teaser trailer came out.
Alright, this logic, this one is something I don't understand. He's saying, oh, it's just going to be a giant failure, but it's getting a lot of social media attention more than he thought. Then he tried to say James Gunn is manipulating the overall views of the social media views from Superman. It's like 250 million, right? Combined between X and YouTube and a lot of other social spaces. They were running this advertisement of the Superman trailer forever now, so it's been mostly everywhere. And now he's saying that it is a David Zaslav trailer cash out, despite saying that the fucking views were manipulated. So which story are we going with here? Like, and now it's gonna flop. It's gonna be a miserable piece of shit. It's gonna be the worst thing in the world. Like, how do you know all this information, or are you pulling random numbers out the wazoo and hoping something sticks? It kind of sounds like that to me. I love tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists where somehow, I mean, maybe Zaslav cashed out a little bit on that YouTube check, but still, like, brother, what are you talking about? Where everything's just fake and make believe and flop city. Like, we don't have actual estimates of this movie yet because it's not out, right? So until that day happens, You're making shit up. Like, until we see more and more and more of the film. And I'm sure casual moviegoers, they tend to, I think most people seeing this trailer in theaters, they probably liked it enough to say, hey, we're gonna see it. We got a dog here. We got Superman back. uh Most people don't even know what the DCEU is at this point. You're gonna find people that say, what was that? There was a previous movie with Henry Cavill? Well, we didn't know, because it's been so many years since Man of Steel. So, I mean, I don't know. This has a potential. You always go 50-50 with sales. Maybe something could flop, maybe something won't. But there is a lot riding on this movie. That's for sure. Like, one thing I won't take away is there is a lot of hype riding on this movie, because it has to be successful to show WB that we can run a new extended universe. How we're gonna do it. So it's a lot of pressure. It's fine for fans to say that. I think that's totally normal, but to have this weird confirmation bias thinking that everything's gonna fail, dude, it just means that if it does well in July, if it does well that year, and you basically will be eating shit at that point, you need to stop making predictions and estimations like that. That is bad faith, and that argument is not always bulletproof.
There was reshoots done, report of reshoots.
Yes, but they were not full-blown reshoots. They were reshoots for principal photography. So get your fucking facts straight.
And there was a failed test screening. So this indicates
Failed test screening? Like, oh my god. Is that another false report again that you're running with? Because already we debunked you on one where you said, oh, they had the Batman Part 2 ready. They had that movie ready and completed like 6 months ago. Where is that at? And then James Gunn said everything previously was not true. They probably had good intentions for posting it, which is, financial intentions for clickbaiting, but that's neither here nor there. However, it was mistaken. So it's really hard to believe you when you already got caught in a lie in this whole discussion and dialogue of your assessment here.
that this movie is about to flop hard and they're desperate. And
you gotta placate them Snyder fanboys, right? Just keep at it. Just keep at it, brother. It's just like you gotta make that little chamber to make them feel good.
they have canceled the Batman,
The fuck? Okay. What the fuck? What does he mean by they can't? He's one of them dipshits that believe, oh, they are canceling, they soft canceled the movie even though it has a new release date. The fuck the fuck nonsense is that?
canceled the Batman, and like I said, they was never going to greenlight it. They're just breadcrumbing you.
They greenlit the fucking film. It's happening. It's just happening later than what we would expect.
And this is why you Batman fans, because I'm not too fan of the Batman with Robert Pattinson. I thought it sucks.
Oh, I would love to hear your explanations for that. I don't think he's gonna go into detail though.
And I still do. But
Please go into detail about how the Batman Part 1 sucks, because considering how bad you are at understanding that not all the dirt sheets and journals are right, and you don't know how to gather your information properly, your opinions on that movie probably suck ass. And I think you probably know it. Like, I would love to see what he has to say about it, because I'm pretty sure like most of his channels like surface level hate garbage, low IQ, attention span, lowest common denominator channel. So I'm sure his opinions on movies aren't really that great. And I heard what he said about Gambit from the MCU, where he's like, oh, Gambit was always the baggage boy of the X-Men. When this motherfucker took out Sentinels and X-Men 97, you know what? That's neither here nor there. The baggage boy, right? The grocery bag carrier, even though he could fight and throw out these like psionic cards and he's not cool, he's not a badass or anything. This is what this guy thinks. And then he says in the same breath, "Oh, I'm not really a fan of, you know, I don't know really too much about X-Men." It's just straight up grifting. Like when someone says that, it's like I can't take you seriously anymore. You do not pay attention to the media way too much. You do not pay attention to the comics way too much. You do not pay attention to the cartoons way too much. And if you do, you probably fell asleep for like 6 hours while that shit was on in the background. And then you said, "I watched it, done."
But it's at this point, like, when do you guys wake up?
I don't know. When are you going to wake up and actually watch comic media? Then maybe you will know about the characters and the information that you're gathering here as opposed to making stuff up just for the Snyder audience.
Company don't respect you. They don't respect you as the fan. They keep misleading you and just stringing you along.
You can definitely criticize WB for a lot of stuff, especially how they canceled Batgirl and how they handled that situation. A big mess. Coyote versus Acne as well. Very terrible situation, no doubt. Deserved max criticism. David Zaslav is one of the worst businessmen I think I ever seen in my entire life. I think you can make some arguments against that and how he handles tax write-offs and, you know, definitely killing movies if they don't meet his expectation or favoritism. But I believe you are making these criticisms for the wrong reasons. You know, bias reasons, especially for Zack Snyder. So, because of your hate boner, which is clearly in the title, yeah. If they didn't care about the fans, none of this would be happening where they see they don't have a script ready. They know they don't have one ready. And they're delaying the movie to meet fan expectations and be up to par with the last film, if not better. That's what I see. That's the situation at hand.
And expect for you somehow to patronize their business. This is why you should join the No Snyderverse, No Money movement, because this is a statement saying we're not going to be pushed around anymore.
Let me advertise my dead universe, yes.
Either you give us what we want or we don't support you. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, it's their IP, and that's true. But it's the consumer that gives value to that IP. We have just as more of a say-so than they do, because we the ones that bring value to the IP.
You're also kind of trying to devalue an unreleased movie. I'm not sure if the brains up there, the cogs, the wheels, I'm not sure if they're spinning, right? You know what we're talking about, right? Unreleased films. So how do we know things are being like devalued, that they're not respecting people? What if these movies come out and they're both fire, right? Well, what then? It's just gonna mean that this is another video that aged poorly if that happens.
That's how much this guy respects you. This is how much that company respects you. And expect.
I want the entire movie spoiled within this teaser trailer now. It's just, that's how he sounds, dude. Like, what the fuck?
For you to be obedient dogs and support this mediocre universe that you're trying to force down.
You don't even know what the quality of this universe is outside of Creature Commandos, which is, I mean, again, the metric is there. It seems that people do like the show, so what are you on about? And the show is not even finished yet. This is one thing I say about TV. Like, I feel like people just kind of don't wait until the TV show is finished before getting a full indication of the full season. So, when the show finishes, I will watch it and I'll probably make a review on it myself. But so far, it seems like people are, you know, they're liking what they see so far. Therefore, if we have an indicator, Creature Commandos doing really well, but you hated on that on your channel as well. I doubt you gave a nuanced discussion about some of the things that were fucking positive in the show. Some of the things that were actually good. I fucking doubt that you talked about any of that stuff whatsoever. Like, or what's great about it, what's not so great, what could be constructively improved. I think it's just a James Gunn hate brigade channel so far.
Our throats. July 11th, you got.
Oh, nothing is shoved down your throat. You could just decide not to watch it. I mean, if you have the option to do, like, I never understood this whole you shove things down my throat when the consumer you just talked about has the option to not pay, not buy, not watch, not support, not talk about said thing. But you're gonna do that anyway because I guarantee you want as much maximum clickbait as possible on your channel. So you're going to be there, Superman Legacy, Superman 2025 day one, talking about it. So it's you willingly going to see the movie. Like, it's no shoving of throats here. It's like you are willing to be a participant to this universe that you clearly don't like. It's like, yeah, there is some consumer interest with your channel, with this universe, that you want to discuss with it in a negative light. And I mean, that's understandable, but you got to have some self-awareness, baby. Come on.
Got to make your voice heard, but you know, I guess it's safe to say that the Batman isn't coming out, you guys.
It's coming out in 2027, so try again.
I mean, it would have been out already. The sequel would have.
That's not how film development works. When something is in development hell, it doesn't immediately come out unless you want a rush project.
Been out already.
It has no script.
When are you guys going to get it?
When are you going to get it? You're an idiot. Like, okay.
Sonic came out in 2020.
That's fucking Sonic's production. That's not Batman's production. What the fuck? What comparison is that?
20, a year before the Batman. And
oh yeah, guys, I will not understand that differing movie productions, they have differing sort of circumstances they go through. You know, some movies are finished faster than other ones. I totally am harsh critics, and I don't understand that worth a damn.
It's on his fourth film. Going on his fourth film.
That's Jeff Fowler and his sort of production team and how he coordinates the scripts and everything. Maybe they come out like quicker than usual. He has a full outline, whereas this movie does not. And this happens with a lot of movies. Like, some things come out faster than others. Remember when Deadpool and Wolverine was like in development hell? I do. I definitely do. And that movie didn't come out for like a while. Despite having the initial concept and idea, something didn't land, and then the movie just kept going through the motions until they decided to put in Wolverine, and then it clicked from there. Like, sometimes an idea will click immediately, other times an idea will not click immediately, and it takes months, weeks, days, years to complete.
And it has a TV series.
Which I heard people say that Knuckles was not really the best, but I mean, continue.
What is Matt Reeves doing? That should be the question.
Working on the script for the Batman Part 2.
But this company don't give a shit about you.
If they didn't give a shit, then we wouldn't get these movies and we wouldn't get these peak TV shows like The Penguin now, would we?
And that's why July 11th, you make your voice heard. But what do you...
I mean, yeah, July 11th, you're gonna be in the theaters with us, so hats off to you, I guess. This video is fucking terrible. Awful. Garbage.